The final score, Wrexham 1, Blackburn Rovers 1. And, much as I want to make everything just about us, I feel like this game is more about Blackburn Rovers than Wrexham. They've got this crazy record, haven't they? I mean, at home only 4 points. Away from home, 5 wins and nearly made it 6 at the Stoke Kairos. It's not a fluke. And I think we could see exactly why they've got a phenomenal away record in this game. And I do think that probably that's the most important factor we should look at in terms of what coloured this game and made it turn out the way that it did. Because Blackburn just looked to have the perfect away game, if you see what I mean. They have a strong, stubborn defence, which they stumbled upon by accident through injuries to set up this way. They intended to play with 3 at the back, and they did at the start of the season. And they also have got a really pacey second line and an intelligent striker in Johnson. So Ohashi and Miroshita, alongside the striker, are a really excellent front three who come at us aggressively. And certainly the Blackburn press felt it was a mistake by Blackburn to bring the 2 Japanese internationals off when they did, with about 20 minutes left. And I can see the logic in that. At that point, it felt like they were more sitting in to close out the win. And the problem is that, this Wrexham team is a lot better than people realise. We're on a very long unbeaten run. We still have that sense of confidence that we'll get something to happen in the latter stages of a match. And sitting back against us proved to be a bit of a mistake. But you can see how it'll work more often than not, to be fair to Varelli and Ishmael. They were good. And yeah, it sort of conditioned the game. So it felt very different from the Bristol City match because they just made it very difficult for us to put them under the same level of pressure. Bristol City, of course, are sort of the opposite in the way they put pressure on you in your own half. And we were able to bypass that press. It's a high risk, high reward approach by Bristol City. Blackburn just defended excellently, broke on us excellently, with a better side in the first half as it wore on. And in the second half, I think it speaks a lot about our resilience and our ability to alter our approach, that we earned a good point. The Friday before, Blackburn had a derby. I was thinking they said friendly then. Those games aren't friendly. A derby at Preston North End. And it followed the same pattern in the first half. They started a little slowly and they built up, and by the half time they were on top, and in the second half they struck on from there and deservedly won that game more comfortably than the 2-1 scoreline suggested. We didn't let them do that to us, and it was a credit to us that we were able to get at them in the second half. So just a couple of changes from the Wrexham side that beat Bristol City. Those changes being in midfield. And with Lewis O'Brien and Matty James coming back in, George Thomason and George Dobson missing out, you think, okay. I mean, James gives you a lot of control of the ball, which makes sense against a team like Blackburn if we're going to have to try at times to pick their defence open. And O'Brien, of course, gives you a lot of good forward thrust. And we had, a first moment of promise. Matty James with a nice little pass in. Broadhead doing brilliantly to spin Miller, was driving into the box. It wasn't clear a defender would get across to stop him before he could get a shot off. But Miller made that all academic with a superb recovery tackle, racing back and winning the ball cleanly. But Blackburn, apart from that, were keeping us at arm's length. And although we had a nice tempo at times to the way we came forwards, the first proper threat on goal was the opening goal, 13th minute, and an absolutely super breakaway. It all started in midfield. Lewis O'Brien overran the ball a bit and lost it. Morishito immediately is feeding it down the right-hand side because in Adebayosi they've got a really, really good thrusting right-sided player. He drove down the right flank. Ohashi makes a good run across the box, dragging defenders with him. Johnson intelligently pulls away. Good cross into a nice area, but still there's a lot for Johnson to do, and it's such a smart, clever finish. Just seeing that with Okonkwo's momentum naturally taking him to his right, that putting it back across him is the best option, and it's a lovely deft header. Credit where credit's due, and Blackburn are ahead. Wrexham try to rouse ourselves. There's a bizarre incident in the 25th minute. You do see this occasion, don't you, where part of the crowd think that the ball is in? Not to the extent that the scoreboard flashes a goal for 30 seconds, though. Well, that's what happened. Lovely diagonal by Scar to the right-hand side. Longman looped in a wonderful cross and turned to the far post. McLean running onto it, met the ball with his head. It wasn't the easiest of chances. He didn't have that much of the goal to aim for. He makes good contact, but it just hits the side netting. Cue a small strangled cheer from the fans who thought it had gone in, and a much longer celebration on the scoreboards. Much delight of the Blackburn fans, of course. But as the half wore on, Blackburn really looked controlled. They were holding us, like I said, at arm's length. Broadhead was finding space between the lines, and he felt like our most promising outlet. But we weren't really getting very far apart from that, and we were losing the ball sometimes in the Blackburn half, quite frustratingly. We then had an opportunity. Well, there was an opportunity. Beg your pardon. There's an opportunity when a little bit of. It's not a misunderstanding as such. It's just a bit of a tangle on the halfway line. Hyam having to stretch backwards, gets his foot in and makes the tackle. But unfortunately, it just drops the ball the wrong side of Scar. And Ohashi is quick. He outpaces Scar, finds Morishita, and he's cutting inside down the right channel. Drills an on-target shot. Fabulous block by Max Cleworth, who appears from nowhere at high speed, hurls himself across the path of the ball and blocks it away to safety. Brilliant defending by him. A couple of minutes later, there's another moment of danger. Again, Morishita is involved, carrying the ball forwards, feeding it into the box. There's a bit of a scramble as Ohashi picks it up. He cuts inside well, wriggling around, manages to get past Sheaf and carries it into the box. Sheaf does really well, though, to recover and at least put pressure on the striker, who, when he hits it, doesn't find the corners, and Okonkwo is able to go down well and smother it. Second half starts with Wrexham with the same 11. I don't think that was inevitable. I'm sure it crossed Phil Parkinson's mind that maybe he should make some half-time changes because we weren't really creating. But he's clearly sent them out, reiterated to them what he expected from them in the first place, and we come out moving the ball around a little bit quicker, just trying to pull Blackburn around a touch more and looking at a little bit more threatening. There's a good breakaway, Broadhead playing a good ball down the right-hand side, more feeding in a dangerous cross. The defender's able to get a touch to it. O'Brien is running in at the far post. The touch just drops at the wrong side of him, and as O'Brien has to break and turn, the keeper's able to get across and smother the ball. However, just before the hour comes a massive moment as Arthur Okonkwo frankly saves us. Scar gives the ball away. He's looking for Matty James, but he puts it the wrong side of him. His weight's going the other way, and James can't get to the ball. Ohashi again comes driving in, and I mean, one touch too many? I think probably so. He runs into the left channel, cuts inside onto his right foot, gets in the box. It's there for him to drill it. Okonkwo is exposed. He just carries a stride further forwards, and that gives Okonkwo the chance to just narrow the angle a bit more, make a massive save. The danger isn't over yet, though. Johnson gets to it at close range. Okonkwo, brilliant work. Doesn't save the second effort, but he's up and throwing himself at Johnson, making what looks like a tap-in much more difficult, and Johnson has to try and lever it over him and puts it over the bar from 6 yards out. A huge escape for us, although I think any sensible manager would say, well, that's why we pick really good goalkeepers, so they'll do things like that when their chips are down. But that is a huge moment, as 2 minutes later is Parson decided, okay, it's time to try something different. So triple change, and all three changes have a big impact. Pardon me. Josh Windass, George Dobson, Callum Doyle come on. Lewis O'Brien, beg your pardon, Ben Sheaf and Dan Scar come off. It's like for like, all three changes, but they all bring different qualities. And that's, if you want me just digressing for a second, that's why I get a bit bored sometimes when people talk about have you got plan B? You don't necessarily need a plan B to change a game. You just need maybe to put different players with different characteristics into those positions. Windass, instead of driving forwards like O'Brien was, is everywhere, dropping off, making the play, just creating space for himself, dragging players around, or finding himself room by going where a player doesn't want to follow him. Dobson brings superb energy to the middle of the pitch, and Doyle, with his left foot of course, is able to slot into that left-footed position in the back three and play more progressive passes more naturally. And the three of them together and those factors really rejuvenate Wrexham. And from this point onwards, really the last half hour is all us and Blackburn relying on the quality of their defence to survive. Soon after that, Doyle does well, feeding the ball out to the left side of the box. McLean helps it on to Doyle, who's gone then on the overlap, and he stands up a cross which just lands on the roof of the net. Pears, the goalkeeper, scrambling backwards. It could have just crept in as a fluke goal. A couple more minutes later again, Doyle playing a good early progressive pass down the left hand side. Moore spins brilliantly past Miller down into the channel and carries it forwards. He drives in the shot. It's blocked by Pears, and Pratt is able to get there first to the ball in the goal mouth and hack the ball clear. Instantly, we have another opportunity, and Windass from 25 yards drills in a powerful shot, but Broadhead can't get out the way in time, and it hits him and ricochets out to safety. Now, on the other end, Mokhtar Gay comes on as a striker, and he immediately makes an impact. I've seen him play before, and he's a peculiar mix of the sublime and the ridiculous, and he was sublime with his very first touch when he does ever so well. Neatly done, breaking down the left-hand side, beats Hyam. This is the first time I've seen Hyam beaten like that, where he just fakes one way, goes the other when he's past him, hits the goal line, drills it into the goal mouth from the left-hand side, and Cluis doesn't know much about it. Fortunately, the next time he doesn't know much about it, he'll score. This one just goes past the post and hits the side netting on the outside, thankfully. So we're still behind. Quarter of an hour left, we make another change. McLean comes off. Not, I don't think, a comment on his performance, but just Phil Parkinson trying to switch things up a bit. Barnett comes on in his place. He goes on the right. Longman switches to the left. So we've got different types of angles on our crosses now. And we start really putting the pressure on. There's a great move. Started off by Doyle popping it inside. Then it's Windass laying it off. Snappy one-touch passing about 25 yards out. First touch by Dobson inside to Broadhead. First touch by Broadhead, piercing the defence. Moore spins, and it looks for a moment like he's one-on-one right down the middle. Just can't quite take the ball cleanly as he turns, so it gets away from him and he can't get the shot off. Again, at the other end, I beg your pardon, 6 minutes left, a massive moment, which looks like we could have been, it's not our day. As again, it's Doyle starting attacks, initiating, feeding the ball down the left-hand side. Longman is there, and he sweeps in a great cross again. Moore attacks it centrally in the box. Good contact. Big save by Pears, although it maybe is a case of by the time he knows it's coming, it's bounced off his chest already. He didn't have much chance to react. Cluis then gets to the rebound, and from very close range, he's underneath it. Can't get a proper leverage on it, and it hits the top of the bar with his header and bounces behind to safety. It's getting frustrating, but the crowd are really in the game now. They're really pushing hard, encouraging the team. We have another chance with 4 minutes left. James with a nice stooping little header to find Windass, who hooks a tremendous ball down the right hand side. It's Moore there, and he sweeps it in earlier. Super ball. Finds Broadhead at the far post, unmarked 15 yards out. He decides to take it first time with a side foot volley and puts just the wrong side of the left post. It's cruel. You can see why Broadhead does that. If he brings it down and his touch isn't perfect, it probably rolls to the goalkeeper, and it's a really squandered chance. Just couldn't quite get it on target. instantly, and by now Wrexham are really going hell for leather, we bring Matty James off and we throw on Sam Smith, and we've now got a really attacking team. We've kept the back three because it allows Doyle and Cleworth to come forwards regularly, but we've got Smith and Moore up front, we've got Broadhead playing behind them, we've got Windass in a two-man midfield with Dobson. This is hell for leather, and our two wing-backs playing as wingers. Phil Parkinson's never shy, is he, of going for it and hoping to make breakthroughs. There is a dangerous moment at the other end as Gay feeds the ball in down the left-hand side, but when it's pulled back, Hyam does really well to get a block in on Hodges' shot, and then the big moment comes 6 minutes into added time, of course. There's controversy about it as well. Ball's knocked towards the corner flag on the right-hand side as Wrexham look at it. Barnett chasing after it, does brilliantly to get there, and we've got firstly to give huge credit to Barnett because it looks like it's going out of play. It looks like a nothing ball, but Barnett gets there first and draws a foul and wins a free kick level the edge of the area. Blackburn's furious and adamant it's not a foul. My honest view on this, I think it's a little bit soft, but when you look at the replays, at the time I thought, no, that's very generous. I really did. I thought we were a bit lucky. Looking at the replays afterwards, I think the thing is that Ryan Hodges gives Barnett the opportunity to buy the free kick. He does shove him in the back with his hands. It's not the most vicious contact. Wait for the Wrexham Swansea game on Sunday podcast to hear about those ones. It's not vicious, but he does give him a shove, and he gives the ref, he gives Barnett a reason to go down. He gives the ref a decision to make, and I think the ref's actually fair enough to give it. I think if he hadn't been so clear in the way he makes a shoving motion, I think the ref would probably not give it. But he has stuck his arms up, made contact with Barnett's back. Barnett goes down, free kick given, and what happens from now is a combination of quality and good fortune. Dobson rips a glorious ball in to the far post. Moore does superbly to get up above his man and nod it back down into the danger area. Broadhead's about 15 yards out and he makes a great contact. He does ever so well to strike a meaningful shot on target. Cleworth is standing in front of the goalkeeper. He doesn't really move towards the ball as such, and frankly it's a strange little touch, isn't it? Because it's like how Joe Root got out in the second innings against Australia at the Ashes first test. It's like an inside edge. It hits his heel. His foot is sort of a right angle to the path of the ball. Hits his heel and spins away perfectly inside the posts. Pears has no chance. The initial shot may well have gone in, but Cleworth's little deflection, inadvertent as it was, makes certain he can't get there, and Wrexham have managed to snatch a point. Blackburn are furious. Pears seems to be complaining about offside, but there are defenders on the line. It definitely isn't offside. The free kick is the issue they could maybe complain about. But I think Wrexham, despite the fact that Blackburn illustrated why they are such a strong team away from home, I think we deserved a point because in the second half we changed things up. We showed intent, and like I said, unlike Preston the week earlier, we didn't allow Blackburn to take control of the game. We took the game back to them, and ultimately our persistence and the support of the crowd who never gave up on the team and that never say die attitude the club has consistently had since Parkinson came in made a difference. Parkinson's 200th league game for Wrexham, only the 6th manager to achieve that milestone by some distance. He has the best win percentage and the best loss percentage, and therefore obviously the best points per game percentage of any Wrexham manager. 200 games or not under their belt. A superb achievement, and another good one, another happy experience to put under the belt during his reign. With the final score of Wrexham 1, Blackburn Rovers 1, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.